Hello dear Librans, this is your monthly horoscope for April, and for if you have your ascendant in Libra, and to a lesser extent your sun in Libra and your moon in Libra. But let's get started. There are two important things happening during the month of April, and it is the eclipse and also the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. But I want to start with your full moon, because every year we have our full moon. And that means that the sun will be in Aries, and in your case, the moon will be in Libra. And that's around and about the 16th of the month, so in the midst of the month on 26 degrees of Libra. So you are the ones, of course, who've got planets around 26 degrees of Libra, whether it is their sun, their moon, or their ascendant, they will feel it the most. And those are the Librans that have a birthday around the 18th of October and onwards. You will all feel it, that there's some sort of a culmination on when it comes to your relationships. And it has to do with your needs. They are going to be very much in front of your face and you won't be able to hide them, versus the other people's needs. And this is a very important theme for the Libran, because the Libra personality is a person that takes into account other people and that wants fairness and peacefulness. So, but now it's going to be a bit more tempting to, although another person is there, you know, and has their needs, you've got them as well. So it's a good time to show, especially when you are somewhat a typical Libran. You could be not a so typical Libran, like if you have your moon in Aries, for instance, you're not a typical Libran. But if you're a typical Libran with a lot of Libra planets, or you know, the people pleaser kind of Libran, this can be a very interesting time for you to also show your needs towards others, and having that conversation, and also having that, you could say, balance that you bring into the relationship. Now, so that is quite an important month when it comes to your relationships. Now, the solar eclipse that is happening and the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction are less important for you, because it's not happening in cardinal signs, and you are a cardinal sign. So what is this all about, this solar eclipse then? It happens on the last day of the month, the 30th of April, but you feel it the whole month. And it's a partial one, but it's a solar eclipse. The sun, the moon, the north node, and also Uranus. Uranus very, very close to all these planets. What does it? It's happening at 10 degrees of Taurus. So what does it mean? This eclipse is it belongs to the Saros cycle 6 North, which is a very responsible Saros family. So it means that it has to do with discipline, authority, and, you know, taking ownership. But it has a flavor of Uranus as well, because it conjoins with Uranus. So it means there is some innovation happening there, and there is some electricity happening. It's all happening in a very personal house, which is the 8th house. So that is a house that we don't show to other people. It's the most intimate house. It's where we share intimacy with one particular person. So that could definitely happen, by the way, because a new moon with the North Node brings something new into your life. So it plants the seeds, and it is a very new one. So for you, it's in your 8th house. One of those meanings of the 8th house is intimacy. So that could be like, for instance, you just started a relationship, and now there is an opportunity to be more intimate with each other. And it's not only about sexuality. It is actually way more than that. It's about vulnerability. You know, those body, mind, and souls merging together, so to speak, and showing who you are and showing your vulnerabilities. That is when you experience true love, right? So there's a really possibility here to make that very tangible, because it's in a practical sign of Taurus. And on another level, also digging deep into your own psyche and understanding it, or starting with an occult study, for instance, or something that has to do with the metaphysical side of life. It's also the 8th house. But for many of you, it's also about money and some sort of a new beginning. That it's not the money that you earn yourself, it's the money that you share with someone, like a business partner, investments, or with your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, that you have bought assets together. You know, that kind of energy maybe you are planning to. So there's something new around this. For some of you, this will be a new house that you want to buy, a new loan that you want to make sure that you handle right, or the end of that and a new beginning of that. So also it's what other people value. So that has to do with you. So you could get, for instance, a present that is very meaningful for you, or you could get support in some way, not always financial, but probably financial in this case because it's in Taurus, but a gift that helps you out and that supports you for quite a long time. And then Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in your 6th house. This is happening around and about the 12th of April. By the way, this 8th house is really a traffic jam there, because Venus is going to be there as from the 6th of the month and Mars on the 16th. So it's a lot of energy in your 8th house. So it's a good time to explore deeper, to go deeper and to do all that intimacy, you know, money stuff and digging deep into your resources that you share with others and so forth. So interesting times. And Jupiter-Neptune in your 6th house on the 12th, but you feel that accumulated, that approaching, Jupiter approaching Neptune. It's at 23 degrees. And happening in a very down-to-earth house, basically. The 6th house is your health. And it's also your day-to-day work, your routines as well, the routines that you do to keep yourself healthy. And like having 3 days a meal, for instance, that's a 6th house thing to do. Now, with having Jupiter and Neptune together, this is in itself a very beautiful energy. It's approaching, so when you're watching this in March, you're feeling it already, but its peak, it's on the 12th. And it has to do with opportunities and opportunities for your day-to-day life to be more meaningful, Jupiter, to be more, having more work, but that you love because Jupiter brings meaning into your life. Or it has to do with your health, that you find a new way to improve your health and where you are more hopeful. Also a job that you could go towards a new job that is way more meaningful, way more suited for you, way more, it goes smoothlier for you. Of course, unless, because this Jupiter-Neptune, as much as it has opportunities, it becomes a little bit trickier when you've got planets, personal planets that is, in Gemini, Sagittarius or Virgo. So if that is the case, it's a bit more trickier. But of course, you have to have, you know, more personal or know a bit more about astrology or personal. But I want to warn people from that because, you know, Jupiter, Neptune, yes, it's a la-la energy. And but if it stresses out those other signs that I just said, it can become quite tricky in being in la-la land and not in the real world. So, but all in all, for you Librans, it's enjoyable. That there is a bit of magic in your day-to-day life and you can implement that for sure. And that is good. That is an opportunity. Having said that, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.